Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dubious Engineering. Today we have a special guest star on the channel. We have Mike from the channel Atomic Shrimp. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks. How are you?
Very well, very well. So, Mike has produced a lot of very, very interesting videos, some great content actually, and one of my personal favorite videos that's just going to grab your attention is the sausage wobbling device. It's hilarious. For me, in fact, if you look just over Mike's right hand shoulder there, you'll see it. There it is. Is that actually a real sausage that's in there, mate, or is that
the silicone sausage? Bear with me a second. I'll just I'll show you what this is. So the Wobble Dog machine is a sausage tester, but then I needed a sausage tester, so I made myself a silicone hot dog, so that we can have a standard unit of wobbliness, as it were. So so because obviously if I put a real hot dog in there, it'd go a bit stinky after a while, so I've put that in there really so that we can use that for calibrating the machine if we ever need to or anything like that. So yeah, there we go. That's the standard silicone wobbly sausage.
And if I'm not mistaken, you emptied a skin.
That's right. So I bought some Polish sausages that happened to have a plastic skin. They were individually wrapped. And so I took the sausage out and kept the plastic skin and then just used that to mold with 2-part silicone, a silicone hot dog. And I might be the first person in the world to make a silicone hot dog. I did Google it and I couldn't find anything else quite like it.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, I'll tell you what, let's just I did in the background, I did have Mike's sausage wobbler. I'll go ahead and run that real quick and we can see best in show. Here it is. The Wobble Dog 9003i. And there it is, wobbling indeed, a hot dog. You had quite a lot of hot dogs actually, didn't you?
I did. I had 10 different varieties of hot dogs. So the wobble dog was kind of a incidental thing really, because I started off, well, this all kind of snowballed from an earlier video. So I did a video a while back where I did a dehydrated hot dog. I took all of the components of a hot dog sandwich and put them in my food dehydrator and dehydrated them. Loads and loads and loads of my American subscribers said it was really weird that I have hot dogs in a jar. This is the jar of sausages, and obviously, as I say, yeah, the wobbliness of the product is for me part of the joy of the whole thing.
For me, when I saw the machine in action, it just put a magnificent smile on my face.
It's hard not to smile, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You've turned that machine up to a point where it's broken hot dogs.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, some of the tinned varieties don't have quite the flexibility that some of the other varieties have, and so yeah, when you turn it up to full speed, some of it's about harmonics as well. It's about, you know, as it wobbles, it gets to a certain point where it resonates. And so you can get some quite some harmonic type effects build up the amplitude of the wobble. You know, there's a lot of science here, and yeah, some of them actually just snapped off, and that was that.
So I guess, yeah, there's probably a resonant frequency whereby the hot dog actually wobbles at the bottom but stays still at the top.
Absolutely. You get a kind of standing wave effect. It was my hope that I might be able to get like second and third harmonics on some of the longer, more flexible hot dogs, but that's perhaps for the next model of Wobble Dog. Perhaps we'll concentrate on that. Next generation, you know.
It's fantastic. But basically then, so Mike has given us a detailed view into the substance of hot dogs, which is absolutely fantastic. So my first question for you really is how did you come up with the name Atomic Shrimp? Because that in itself is quite an interesting name.
It's a bit of a weird story actually. So I was working on a project with a friend, and we were creating a short film. And we were discussing how a lot of film studio names have got kind of two-word names, and often those two words don't really go together. And so we had to invent a fictional sort of movie studio for the short film we were making. And over a couple of points, we just kicked around all these different ideas for movie studio names. And I came up with Atomic Shrimp. I said, there's two words that really don't go together, but it's kind of memorable. My suggestion didn't win, actually. We decided on something else. I can't even remember what it was, actually. But when I went home, I just did a quick bit of research, and I found that the domain atomicshrimp.com was up for sale. It was available. And so I snagged it, and I created a website, atomicshrimp.com, and it all just took off from there. So it's kind of meaningless, but it also it does embody some of the ethic of Atomic Shrimp, in that it's just taking different ideas and smashing them together and seeing what comes out. So it's kind of apt, even though it's nonsensical.
Atomic Shrimp Particle Accelerator. So you started your channel maybe or at least I think you started your channel maybe 11 years ago, back in 2008. And I was following you when I think you probably had about sort of 15,000 subscribers, and then all of a sudden your subscriber account just sort of rocketed, and you've got some 650 videos on the channel. And actually the one that really sort of hit me quite hard was the dirty little secret of inkjet printers, and I think that was the one that actually encouraged me to subscribe to your channel. So just quickly, just give us a bit of an idea. What is the dirty secret of inkjet printers?
Well, that's interesting. That's one of my first successful videos, really. So that was, I was working as an IT manager in a small publishing and distribution company, and every person had an inkjet printer on their desk. That is the technology that we used in that workplace. And these inkjet printers just kept on going wrong, and it was my job to keep them going. But they would get to a point where they'd say, well, I'm just not, the driver would say, I'm not going to work anymore. There's something inside your printer that needs replacing. The printer needs maintenance. And of course, there was no way you could. It was a £50, £90 printer or something like that. There's nowhere you could find to actually have it maintained. And so we would just throw them away and get another one. And so I had, because obviously I like making things like the Wobble Dog, I was taking these things apart to strip out the motors and some other useful parts inside them. And I just discovered inside this printer there is an enormous block of absorbent foam. And in that foam is a huge pool of wasted ink. And so in order to, it's a necessary function of inkjet printers that they keep on squirting ink through the nozzles to keep them clean. But in total, it ends up that you waste a vast amount of the ink that you buy and put in the printers, just keeping the print heads clean. And so I created this video, and I opened up one of these printers, and you can pour out this ink and it pours out like tar. And there must have been, well, I reckon maybe even a quarter of all of the ink that was ever installed in that printer just went straight down the waste hole just to keep the jets clean. And so I made a video about it, and it kind of went a bit viral. A lot of people didn't believe it. A lot of people thought I was making it up, or said that I poured ink oil in there to make it look worse than it was. Lots of people have said, well, my printer doesn't do that. Well, if it's an inkjet, yes, it does. And so, yeah, it's just generated a lot of interest. And that was 11, 12 years ago now. And I've just noticed it's just gone trending again, that video. It just always seems to come back.
It's fantastic. I mean, if you look at inkjet printers, so you can buy a set of cartridges for almost the same cost as an inkjet printer. So you sort of feel as though it's a bit like the razor blade analogy. The razor analogy. You know, you buy yourself a razor, and then you have to buy replacement heads for it, and the replacement heads are actually costing you more than the printer themselves. So I suppose the manufacturer really is sort of hoping that ultimately you're going to end up spending the money on the cartridges further down because you've committed to that type of printer.
Oh, quite so, and. I mean, some of the printed models now, they've got refillable tanks, or they've got larger ink tanks and so on. So there is a little bit of comeback now where the manufacturers have started to behave a little bit more responsibly and ethically. perhaps in reaction to the fact that everybody started getting very concerned about the sort of razor and blades model that we had for inkjet printers. I mean, I want to be clear that inkjet printers do this because they have to. If you don't squirt all that ink through the nozzles, they dry up and get blocked, and then the printer doesn't work. So it is a necessary artifact of the technology, but it's just one of those things where I think until you open the thing up and see how much ink gets wasted down there, it's you're not aware of exactly how big the scale of an issue it is.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to opening my my Canon printer in the future. I think yeah, but that for me that was incredible to see. So thank you very much for exploring that and taking the time out, because it was quite a detailed video, and you spent quite some time pulling everything apart and showing people what was going on, and you know that's an education in itself. So thank you very much for that. Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. All of my videos, actually, all of my videos are kind of a bit like that. It's just where I found something interesting. Hey, here's an interesting thing, guys. Come and have a look at this. And so it's always been like that for me. Once I find something I think is interesting, I typically make a video about it and see if anybody else does.
Well, talking of interesting, just above the Wobble Dog, what have you got up there with all the flashing LEDs and switches and dials on it?
Well, this is a replica of the Altair 8800 computer. Not exactly a faithful replica. It's an Arduino replica or Arduino emulator of the Altair 8800. Now, the Altair 8800, if you've never heard of it, was the first commercial kind of desktop computer. It wasn't a desktop computer like people think of these days. It didn't have a monitor. It didn't have a keyboard. It was just programmed with these switches on the front, and the LEDs that you see there are the visual display unit. Later on, people adapted it, so they made it talk to screen terminals and printers and keyboards and all sorts of things. But it is the computer that started the whole microcomputer revolution, really. So this is an Arduino replica. So it's somebody's made a modern replica that emulates the function of the original Altair 8800, and I just bought it as a bare board. And I've made myself a nice case, which is kind of using some of the styling and some of the accents of the original Altair 8800. And I've actually had quite a lot of fun with this. I've made a few videos on it, and it runs a very rudimentary spreadsheet. It can play a few games. It plays mostly text-based adventure games, but it's a lot of fun actually. It's just tinkering with it, and it's a lovely blast from the past.
So you can actually plug a monitor into that bad boy then?
Yeah, you can plug like a terminal into it. So you plug a serial terminal into it, and then you're interacting with it through a like a teletype interface. Okay. And actually, what people have managed to do with that is quite incredible. They've actually managed to make a functioning spreadsheet. There are interactive games you can play. There's a platformer game that's a bit like Donkey Kong even. So kind of amazing really what people will do when with limited technology.
Another thing that you do on your channel, you know, there's people that are specialists in their field, and one thing that really encourages me, certainly about your channel, is the fact that it's not just one thing. You have a lot of variety on your channel. One of those things, I'm a camper, I'm an avid camper. I absolutely love camping, and I used to go away with a wood-burning stove in a canvas tent. You know, and go out and find various different bits of food to sort of eat and whatnot, you know, wild rams and wild garlic and that kind of stuff. And this is something that you do as well, quite a lot of foraging.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of been a bit of an interest all my adult life, really. Well, I like food anyway. I mean, I love tasting new foods. I love trying new things. And I love eating the same things that I enjoyed before as well, actually. So I just love eating. But one of the really exciting things is to be able to go out and actually pick my own food. You know, go and get something that you can't buy in the shops, maybe, or maybe that people used to eat for thousands of years. You know, it's like a little taste of history.
Those skill sets have been lost over the years, haven't they?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, actually, yes, definitely. Even when I go out picking blackberries, sometimes I get people saying, "What are those?" And it's just amazing to me. But yeah, so even as simple as picking blackberries is still foraging for me. but it's a lot about going. I mean, everybody loves getting something for free anyway, but I love to be able to go out and get something and take it home and cook it straight away and have, just imagine how fresh that is and how amazing that is. And so it's been a bit of a lifelong interest. And so it's over time I got a bit more adventurous and I started actually learning which mushrooms I could safely pick. I started eating some insects and things like that as well. So I caught grasshoppers and cooked them and ate them, and actually they're delicious. So yeah, it's a significant area of interest for me. I don't know that I'd be able to survive. I'd still think it would be quite a challenge for me to go out and live off the land and survive on purely foraged foods. But it's an interesting idea. I have actually thought about maybe doing that. Maybe go out for a weekend or something and actually see if I can, or maybe a whole week or something like that. See if I can survive on just what I can find and catch and pick.
I'd be happy to join you in that expedition. I think we should probably wait until the springtime next year when things are growing again and winter's sort of in the bag.
Yeah, although this particular time of year is quite productive for things like nuts and berries and fruits and things like that. So early spring is difficult because there's really only a few green things around, unless you want to go fishing or something like that. Summer starts getting better. Late summer is really when it all kicks off. You get the blackberries, you start some of the early fungi, you get early hazelnuts and so on, some wild grains and so on. But yeah, I would love to do that with you sometime. Actually, I'd love to go out and spend a few days out and see if we can actually live off the land.
Would you be up for a hammock camping trip? Would you think you could do a night in a hammock, in a little forest somewhere? Sure.
I'll give it a go.
Yeah, okay, good stuff.
Yeah.
I think I might have 2 hammocks. We'll see how we do. Let's not commit. But excellent. So actually, that segues us nicely onto weird stuff in a can. My wife and I sat down today and we watched your burger in a can episode, and again, that's fantastic. But you've done loads of stuff. You've dehydrated and rehydrated a hot dog. But your weird stuff in a can episodes are always good fun to watch. So, do you have a favourite weird stuff in a can?
Favourite weird stuff in a can? Yes, I do actually, and it's probably the first one I ever did because I didn't intend to start this series. I started off the weird stuff in a can series by just showing people. Again, it goes back to this thing about, here's the thing I really love. Let me show it to some other people. You might like it too. And so my favourite, it was these braised eels that I get from the Chinese shop in a little rectangular can, and it's a lovely little painted can. And you open it up, and it's got these kind of really meaty little pieces of eel that have been smoked or braised in soy sauce or something like that. And that was it's a thing I'd loved eating for a while. And I just thought, I'll make a video about it. And I just happened to, I think, use the words weird stuff in a can in the video. And then it just kind of clicked. Why don't I do some more of this? And so it snowballed. People said, yeah, we want to see more of the weird stuff in a can. And so now I go out kind of seeking weird stuff in a can. So I'll go shopping at Chinese shops or Thai shops and various different sort of imported goods places and anywhere I can really get anything that might look a bit strange or a bit unusual or be a bit of a challenge to the taste buds maybe. And it's been like traveling without going very far. It's lots of fun.
Yes, it is. I want to try at some point. I will be going again on business back to Sweden, and when I do, I'm going to make a point of finding. I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's like shwami or something like that.
The fermented herring.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I'm going to do it right now for us. Hang on. Because it's on my list.
Excellent, good.
But I understand it's quite an acquired taste. Bear with me a second. I will just Google it for us, actually. So it's called surströmming.
Surströmming, yeah, that's the stuff.
Yeah.
That's
so
the stuff.
This is fermented herring in a can, and apparently it reeks. But it's one of those things where it's if it's enjoyed in the right way, I'm pretty sure it's a delicacy. So I'm prepared to give that a go. What I would love to do is try it in its context. Go over to Sweden, spend some time there, drink some vodka with some friends, and try the whole experience. But in reality, I'm probably going to have to buy some in and do a bit of a try and do it justice, and try and taste it properly. There's a lot of people will have opened a can of that on YouTube and made faces about how smelly it is or whatever. But I try not to do that, really. I just think, well, okay, a lot of people must love this because it exists. So whenever I open weird stuff in a can, although it is weird to me, I always try and do it justice. I try to maybe enjoy it in the way it's supposed to be enjoyed, give it a fair try. There have been some really weird things, but I would have said probably the less pleasant things in a can that I have opened are often the sort of low quality meat products that we get from this country, actually. So like some burgers and gravy, and they were just like, well, I don't know what they were like, but they weren't like burgers. Whereas some of the really weird things that, like ant eggs, for example, I got a can of ant eggs from Thailand, and there was nothing to dislike about them. It was quite an interesting experience. So yeah, it's quite an adventure, really. And a lot of the things that I've bought and tried on weird stuff in a can, I come back to and I eat them again. So it's been worth taking that journey.
Excellent. So the probably the high rolling videos on your channel are things like the scam baiting and the scamming videos that you've put together. Yeah. I recently had a bit of an example where I had it looked like it came from YouTube Studio, and it said, we're going to shut down your YouTube account because you've been making some bad videos about whatever it might happen to have been. And when I read on, it quite clearly said, please give us your YouTube channel URL, give us your password, etc., etc. And as you're sort of, you've certainly got quite an experience in this line of scamming. What are your? Yeah. I sent a copy of that to you. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like to me that particular one, they were obviously trying to take control of your YouTube account. I imagine they were probably intending to use that they were either going to hold that to ransom, they've changed the password and locked you out of it, or maybe they were going to use it for like farming or that sort of thing. So they use it for comment farming on videos of their own. So they use it to try to promote their own content, basically take over your account and use it to click like and to comment on other videos. But I mean, your channel's got a fair few subscribers, so that would carry a fair bit of weight in the algorithm. So that might well be what they wanted to do. The other thing I think that they will probably do in a scam like that, I mean, anything where they're trying to get hold of your password, they are probably gambling on the human nature side of things, where people tend to use the same password in lots of different places. You should never do that, by the way. But a lot of people do. So a lot of people will have the same password for their YouTube account as they might have for their PayPal account, or maybe for their eBay account or Amazon or whatever. So yeah, so a lot of people use the same password everywhere. Yeah. And so what the scammers would probably do is, if you'd have given them your email address and password that's associated with your Gmail account, they'd have probably tried that in PayPal. They'd probably tried it in eBay. They'd probably tried it in a few different places just to see if they can take over any other accounts. And then they use those for various other purposes. So if they took over your Amazon account, they would probably use it to fake Amazon reviews and things like that. So it's big business. I mean, it's crime, but it's big business, and it's just evil. So I'm kind of doing my little bit to try to make people aware that it exists, trying to up people's skills in recognizing a scam, but at the same time just trying to have a little bit of fun as we do it. Just trying to have a bit of entertainment from making fun of bad scammers' grammar and stuff like that. So yeah, it's turned out to be quite popular. There seems to be no end of scammers who want to email me, so there's more videos to come on that.
Fantastic. Didn't you buy a watch from an internet company, Wish maybe, and ended up with a pair of sunglasses instead, or something along those lines?
There was one where I bought a dash cam. And initially, I got a pair of sunglasses in the post, and I thought they'd just sent me that instead. But actually, they did send through a really crummy dash cam actually later. So I don't know where those sunglasses came from. I think the sunglasses were from a thing they call brushing, which is basically somebody's already got my name and address details, and they're faking a sale so that they can leave legitimate-looking comments and reviews on a product that's probably scam. So it's all very, very nefarious. But yeah, I have actually bought quite a few products where I saw the ad on Instagram or on Facebook or something like that, and it's obvious it was a scam. And I thought, well, okay, but what kind of scam is it? We won't know unless we buy one. And so I've splashed out a bit of money, maybe 30 quid on some dodgy-looking smartwatch, and it turns up and it's a piece of junk, and it's obviously a scam. But a lot of people are falling for it. So I think it was worth the outlay because in that video, excuse me, in that video for the smartwatch, for example, I've had loads and loads of people say, "Wow, I was just about to buy that. Thanks, you saved me from wasting my money." So it has been worth it, even though I have had to give some money to the scammers to get that watch to demonstrate in the video. I've managed to divert hopefully hundreds of sales away from them. So it feels good.
Absolutely, and well done, and thank you, by the way. What is your highest running video on the channel at the moment?
I think it's probably the Just Say OK to Scammers video. It's probably the highest view count, which is just literally I had an email come in from a Nigerian 419 scammer for an advance fee scammer, and I just answered OK. And so they came back and tried to engage me in conversation, and all I said through the whole conversation was OK. And the scammer got the kind of tension level at the other end of the scammer got angry with me and started ranting at me and said, "Please just say something other than OK." And so I just made a video about that little conversation, and it just took off. It's just been incredibly popular, against my expectations. I never really thought or hoped it would do that, but it's taken off, and it's become a bit of a thing. And so I made some more. I've now done various. I must have done about a dozen different scam baiting videos where I've had various different conversations with scammers. I told them I already received the money and I went and spent it on a luxury yacht. Excuse me. I've just tried to do something a little bit different in each video. So I've got some more videos coming where I've got one where the scammer said she was the scammer said he was a female soldier in Afghanistan and was falling in love with me. So that's coming soon. It probably would have ended up with the scammer saying, "I need some money for a plane ticket so I can come see you." And please, then they take the money for that.
Yeah, please send me some money through. What's the bank that they tend to use?
Western Union or Money
Union. Yeah, that's it. Western Money Union. Yeah, fantastic. I've got to say thank you so much for your help in protecting the community against these nasty people that are doing their utmost to try and take us for our hard-earned cash, mate. Good on you.
It's a pleasure, and to be honest, I think it's a good thing, because I really hope that we will one day live in a world where everybody's too skeptical to fall for these scams, and that these scams will stop being effective because everybody just says, no, there can't be a box of gold with my name on it, or whatever. I really hope that we will one day live in that world where these scams just don't work, and people have to find an honest mode of earning their money.
Ultimately, if it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true.
Absolutely.
So your channel recently, you surpassed 100,000 subscribers, and on the wall just behind you there's a silver play button from YouTube, which is magnificent. What's the next level?
Well, I mean, 1 million is gold, and it looks like things have slowed down a little bit in terms of subscribers joining on, but we're here for the long term anyway. Yeah. So I'm hoping we'll go to 1 million. But to be honest, now here's the interesting thing. So I am absolutely thrilled and delighted that I've got 200,000 subscribers now. Yeah. Absolutely thrilled to have that many people on board, but I'm not going to chase after the kind of popular YouTube goals. I don't want to be one of those YouTubers who's begging people to subscribe, who's trying to make clickbaity video just to get the views, who's trying to chase after revenue or anything like that. It just takes all the joy out of it. If it it just becomes a job at that point.
Yeah.
And for me, this is all about me enjoying myself, enjoying making the content I'm making, and carrying on doing what I'm doing. So, I mean, a lot of people ask me, they say, oh, how have you got the free time to do all of this? Well, it's because this is my free time. The videos I make are the things I'd be doing even if I wasn't making videos about them. So I'm just going to carry on doing that. I'm not going to reduce the variety. I'm not going to focus down on the profitable videos. I'm just going to carry on doing what I do, and probably more variety. Excuse me, and probably more variety in future. There's just so many things to explore and to try doing. You know, I've got a welding machine downstairs that I've never even taken out of the box. So I'm going to have a go at making some metal craft. I've got all these ideas that I've got to pursue, and I don't suppose I'll ever get them all done. But yeah, the future for Atomic Shrimp is just we're going to do loads of stuff. We're going to do loads of interesting stuff, and hopefully that will keep people entertained.
Well, I'm certainly in for the journey, and if you guys, as in my subscribers here on Dubious Engineering, haven't checked out Atomic Shrimp's channel, please go ahead and do so, because there's an awful lot of really good content on there. It's always entertaining, it's always fun, and it's always educational. Thank you, Mike, ever so much for joining us today and taking time out of your busy schedule to come and have a chat with us here. And I look forward to the possibilities that we might actually, perhaps cross paths again at some point in the future.
Oh, absolutely, Howard. I really want that to happen. Actually, I'd love to actually work with you on a project or two, and maybe we'll go out and do some foraging or camping or something like that as well.
That would be great fun. That would be really great fun. Thanks again, Mike. Yeah. Take care. Have a wonderful evening. As
cool.
I said,
thanks, Howard. Cheers.
Make sure you pop over to Mike's channel, Atomic Shrimp, on YouTube. Subscribe. All of those pleasantries. Leave him nice comments. Likewise for myself. Take care, guys and girls. Cheers and beers. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.
There's a massive whole city block. City block.